Hundreds of years ago the earth saw the rise of mysterious beings, never to be seen again. These sinister creatures hide a very dark divine origin, condemning many with their existence. Closely related to the origin of all evils, and for many others the earthly heroes, the Nephilim. A mystical story hides the book of Enoch about the Nephilim. In these stories, Enoch describes in detail the origin of all evils and sins, and of the terrible corrupt wicked of the earth. Enoch was very famous for interpreting dreams, and for having very accurate visions. One day, Enoch would have had several visions in his dreams, many of them prophesying the coming of the Son of God among humans. Moreover, Enoch, in a deep sleep, had the most revealing vision of all, and he addressed his people saying, "You will have no salvation, all your life will be an eternal curse, where your life will be ended, but destruction will be multiplied. And for the righteous there will be peace, tranquility, light, and joy. The righteous will be those who inherit the earth, while for you the wicked, there will be a curse. The elect will enjoy wisdom and will not sin, they will be wise and humble." Enoch assured that God was in constant communication with him through his dreams, and that he also entrusted him to give certain messages and orders from the highest to the prophets. Humanity was populating the earth and men and women were giving life through an act of love, so they multiplied and brought to earth beautiful women, women so pure and beautiful that they were called divine love, since their beauty was so stunning. On earth everything was going well, for with the prophets making known the divine laws, the earth provided, and nature took its course, providing peace and joy in families. In heaven, God would have arranged for the earth to be constantly monitored. God asked that they control and watch over human acts, since he was the creator, therefore, the divine law had to be complied with. The watchers were angels who were dedicated to follow up the acts of men from the heavens, and concurrently descended from above to deliver messages from the Creator to the mortal inhabitants of the earth, and likewise were those who delivered all the information of humanity to God in his heavenly throne. Thus, the angels watched the men all the time, and suddenly, very anxious, they watched and watched. The watchers watched the beautiful daughters of men, they watched them with desire and lust. No doubt the watchers had deep feelings for the beautiful women of the earth. Clearly the feelings that the celestial watchers possessed at that time were totally punished by divine law. However, the desire was so great that one day, those celestial beings agreed to descend to earth, and take possession of the maidens. In whispers, they said among themselves, "Let us go and choose women from among the daughters of men." Many others, on the other hand, said, "Let us beget sons with the beautiful women of the earth." Shemhaza, leader of the guardian angels, proposed to make a promise and convinced everyone to commit the sin punished by God. Shemhaza said to them, "I fear that you will not want to fulfill this action, and I alone will be responsible for a great sin." But the other angels were very moved by such a proposal, and then replied, "Let us all take an oath, and let us all pledge ourselves under an anathema not to turn back." At the top of Mount Hermon, under anathema they swore to do their bidding, pledged themselves together, and so descended. Obscenity had blinded them, and together they agreed to descend to earth. Together with Shemhaza, 200 guardian angels in all descended to earth. Those 200 celestial beings had organized themselves into groups, and each now had its leader. Quickly, they were directed and focused on the search for women, for their main objective was to fornicate the women of the earth and have offspring just like men. And so, they did. All the guardian angels had obtained beautiful women, and gladly, flattered the maidens of the earth, they accepted to join the divine beings. Many decided to make those magnificent and slender women their wives. The angels were now the protagonists of a great sin that would condemn them for all eternity. Without knowing it, their lasciviousness did not allow them to continue with the arduous work that God ordered them to do. Thus, they spent long periods of time with those who were now their wives, and they taught them many dark secrets of the heavens, and above all they insisted on teaching them witchcraft and sorcery. The women, thanks to the angels, had learned beyond what they could imagine, for now, they could obtain whatever they wanted by the little divine power the angels had given them. With them, the daughters of men were more powerful, for they learned about plants, root cutting, magic, witchcraft, and the dark arts. Despite being considered a great sin, the angels continued to teach their women. In time, the angels had succeeded, for their wives were now expecting children, and soon they would see their offspring born, not knowing what would befall them next. The strong women gave birth to somewhat strange creatures of unusual size. Even so, they were raised on earth, and all their childhood they caused small damages, since their needs were so great that their mothers did not supply. Therefore, they went out to look for their food, causing much fear in the people who saw them, but until then, their acts were tolerable for humans. Years went by, and they grew so much that they became giants of 3,000 cubits high, and their voracity was uncontrollable. They went out searching for food, and men could not satiate their hunger. The giants devoured all the effort made by men, and every day they finished the work of the people, these horrendous colossal beings. One day when they went to the field to plunder the food, they devoured all the beasts found, leaving a couple of them. Pitifully the people were suffering, they were starving, since they knew that the giants were powerful beings, and they could not defeat them. The only way out for mankind was to beg to God, to beg for help and salvation to the Creator. They cried out for their prayers to be heard, but unfortunately the watchers did not take the message to God, since all that was the product of the terrible sin they had committed. Besides, now they had children and did not want to hurt them, even though their children had already claimed many lives on earth. The giants were invading more and more. The people had no food, nor animals to supply the colossal giants, and this time the satiety dish for them would be the men themselves. The giants, also called Nephilim, whose term is associated to these because it would be translated as those who make fall, or the fallen ones. The Nephilim began to devour men and drink their blood. Every day their voracity caused so much destruction and bloodshed, that the cries of pain and suffering of men pierced the gates of paradise. Their wailing was heard to the highest of the heavens. They devoured all the beasts of the earth, caught all the fish of the sea, and ravaged all the birds of the sky. Whose fault is it that we wail? Asked the men on earth, and many replied, this is a divine punishment because of the wicked, the hostile and unbelieving of faith. They are to blame that our God has punished us. The watchmen were happy with their children and their wives. They continued to teach the forbidden to men. Azazel, leader of a group of watchmen, taught them on earth to make iron swords, taught them to make shields, and taught them to obtain and handle the most precious metals, such as gold and silver, with which they made ornaments and other bracelets, considered impure. To the women he taught them to take care of their image, he taught them to make up their eyes, he offered them jewels and dyes to beautify their feminine figures, turning them into capricious women full of vanity. And so, little by little, the impure angels began to teach their gifts and knowledge to mankind. Shemihaza, for her part, taught men how to cut roots to perform incantations, while Hermione taught how to break spells, witchcraft, and incantations. Baraquel taught how to interpret the signs of lightning, and Zequel taught how to interpret the signs of lightning. Kokabel, on the other hand, taught to deduce the omens of the stars, and Artakov taught the signs given by the earth. On the other hand, Shamziel taught to understand the omens by using the sun, while Sahariel taught the omens emanating from the moon. The angels had revealed to their wives and children all the divine secrets that were forbidden to them, and little by little all this knowledge filled with evil the men and women who joined them. For all the knowledge received from the angels, they used it to practice evil. Each time the wicked and sinners increased because of the great fault that the watchmen committed. The wails and cries of the annihilated men were louder and louder, and at last reached the ears of the archangels, who in haste and with great concern approached to see what the origin of such horrendous groans was. Then Michael, Gabriel, Sariel and Raphael, incredulous and surprised to see so much bloodshed by humanity. The earth was full of violence, vanity and corruption, and in addition to this it was invaded by the giants, sons of the angels, who cruelly destroyed the great creation of God. The pious archangels went to the throne of the Creator to make known the terrible news that was full of misfortune, for the children of the earth were suffering and dying unjustly. Moreover, evil was taking hold of human hearts, thanks to the dark teachings of the angels. Immediately, the angels would have gone with the message of such a bloody event on earth and said, "It is you who created everything, and in you resides the power over all things. Everything is uncovered in all its nakedness before you. You see everything, and nothing can be hidden from you. Thou hast seen what Azazel has done, and how he has taught all unrighteousness on earth and revealed the eternal secrets that are fulfilled in the heavens. Very indignant, the archangels began to name each treacherous angel and the sins committed by these. They also said, What Shemhaza has taught humans, he has no forgiveness, the one you had given the power to rule over his fellows, he has been the leader of sinners. They have gone towards the daughters of men, and have lain with them, and have defiled themselves, uncovering to them every sin. Gabriel concluded by saying, These women have given birth in the world to terrible giants so that the earth has been filled with blood and injustice, the souls of humans mourn, and their groaning will not cease until justice is done on earth. The highest, hearing such faults and sins that assaulted the divine law, sent the archangel Gabriel along with 3 other emissaries to appease the pain of the earthly souls, and save mankind from evil. God said to the archangel Gabriel, Proceed against the bastards and reprobate, make the sons of the watchers disappear from among humans, and make them enter into a war of destruction, for there will not be many days for them. Likewise, God called Sariel to entrust him with a message for Noah. God told him, Go to Noah and tell him in my name, Hide yourself and reveal to him the consummation that is coming, for the whole earth will perish, a great flood is about to come upon the whole earth, and all that is found upon it will perish. He further commanded Sariel to teach all that Noah should do to save his soul from the great divine punishment. And he ended by saying, Let him find salvation, for by him a plant shall be sown, and all generations shall be established. To Raphael, on the other hand, he said, Chain Azazel hand and foot, cast him into darkness, open the wilderness that is in Dudiel and cast him into it, throw upon him rough and cutting stones, cover him with darkness, leave him there eternally without that he may see the light, and on the great day of judgment let him be cast into the fire. To Raphael also he said, Then heal the land which the watchers have corrupted and announce its healing, in order that they may be healed of the plague, and that all the children of men may not be lost, because of the mystery which the watchers discovered and have taught their children. To Shemhaza and the other accomplice angels, on the other hand, would come a direct message through Miguel. The archangel told them, For having sinned, for having defiled themselves with the impurity of women, and moreover having begotten giant children with them, they will be punished, and their children will die. Furthermore, the archangels had been ordered to chain the watchmen, the authors of the chaos on earth. They were to chain them hand and foot for the next 70 generations in the valleys of the earth. On the other hand, Enoch had disappeared from the face of the earth. No human being gave any indication of his whereabouts, for he had been taken by God himself on high, where the watchmen were to remain, and he was with all the saints, performing and learning from their deeds. God addressed Enoch, saying that he should also carry the message to the unclean watchmen, and said to him, Go to the watchmen of heaven, and tell them that there shall be no mercy to them, that the joy which they had, they shall never feel again, and that their children shall perish. Enoch went quickly to fulfill the command of God and came to Azazel and said to him, There will be no peace for you, against you a great judgment has been pronounced to put you in chains. There will be for you neither truce nor intercession, for you have taught injustice, and because of all the works of ungodliness, violence, and sin which you have taught humans, they will perish. All the watchmen had heard the cruel message sent by God. They were all trembling, they were afraid and repentant, but it availed them nothing. And from that day on, they could never raise their eyes to heaven, let alone speak directly to God. The condemned watchmen asked and begged Enoch to intercede for them before the Creator. Enoch, before the cries of repentance, wrote down all the pleas of the watchmen, to take the message to God. Enoch went to the waters of Dan, which were south of Mount Hermonim, sat down and reading the book, a deep sleep seized him. In his dreams a very intriguing vision marked his head. In the vision he clearly saw the gates of paradise and heard a mystical voice that told him, Rebuke the sons of heaven. God would have said to Enoch, The dwelling of the spirits of heaven is heaven, and now, the giants that are born of spirits and of the flesh, shall be called on earth evil spirits, and on earth shall be their dwelling place. So also, in the vision he had, the Creator would have said to him, And the spirits of the giants, of the Nephilim, who afflict, oppress, invade, fight and destroy upon the earth and cause hardship, they thought they do not eat, they hunger and thirst, and above all cause terrible harm. These spirits will rise against the sons of men and against women because, from them, they proceed. Amidst lamentations, the angels understood that they would have no salvation, and that the Nephilim, their children, will be condemned and punished on earth, and that such punishment was very near. After that fateful day when their destiny was revealed to them, several Nephilim began to have enigmatic and mystical dreams. The first to have a vision of a great coming flood that would wipe out this colossal race was the son of Baraquel. From so much fear the Nephilim sought answers, they sought to interpret the apocalyptic dreams they were having, they sought Enoch. Sadly, Enoch was taken by God, and no longer belonged to the earth, but was already on the side of the watchers of heaven. The 200 impure watcher angels were now condemned and imprisoned on earth for all eternity, becoming the fallen angels. And for their children, on the other hand, a terrible and painful ordeal was to come. The flood would reach the earth, ending the lives of the terrible giants, and of all sinners, impious and corrupt, who did not follow the laws imposed by God. The great divine flood ended with the great majority of the offspring of the wicked. However, post-flood accounts still describe giant beings on earth, sowing the seed of wickedness. Although in several writings the history is still uncertain, the Nephilim for God were hybrid beings, product of lust and disobedience, the beings that promulgated evil on earth thousands of years ago. However, they have been mentioned in various books as renowned characters.